gracious Heavenly Father, we thank you for this opportunity to come together this evening and exercise a free government, Lord. We thank you that we live in a country where we can govern ourselves, Lord, where we have those freedoms which have been fought and died for by our military. And we ask you to watch over this meeting this evening and give these commissioners wisdom and judgment as they go about the business of the city of Aztec. We pray for our country and our world, Lord. It's a violent time. We pray for all those who've died at the hand of terrorism. And we just ask for your healing and your mercy as we go forward. We ask all these things in the precious name of your Son, Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, gentlemen. Okay, next is the roll call. Carla, would you please call the roll?
Mayor Burbridge?
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Sykes?
Here.
Commissioner Rogers?
Here.
Commissioner McClure?
Here.
Commissioner Rogers? Randall?
Rogers Rand. Here.
I didn't know you guys got married.
Double here.
I hyphenated.
Yeah. How very modern.
I want to thank the mayor for promoting me to commissioner when you introduced the invocation.
Did I? Okay, well, you know.
No, I
we're
appreciate
just
the
announcing all kinds of
promotion.
changes this evening, so thank you, Mr. Thrower. All right, and Commissioner Rogers Randall. Yes, okay. Okay. All right, moving on, the agenda approval. If there are any items on this evening's agenda that need to be removed from consideration, now would be the time to do so. Hearing none, I would entertain a motion for approval.
Madam Mayor,
Yes.
I move to approve tonight's consent agenda.
No.
Or agenda.
Okay, is there a second?
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to approve this evening's agenda as presented. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Okay, so then we'll move into citizen recognition. So we don't have yard of the month this time, okay. Nothing from commission?
No, ma'am?
I would like to recognize, though, our young gentlemen who are here this evening. Would you guys like to stand and share with us your names?
My name is Trini Blue, and my name is Will Blue.
Good evening. Thank you so much for being here. It is always nice to have young people in our audience, so I appreciate very much that you came this evening, and thank you for leading us in the pledge. So,
Thank you.
feel free to ask questions later in the evening if there's things that come up that you don't understand what's going on, okay? Sometimes we don't understand, so maybe you can help us. So, okay. Thank you, gentlemen. Okay, employee recognition. Commission? No?
Well, yeah.
Okay.
Chief Hill and the Aztec Police Department for the outstanding job they did again on National Night Out.
I heard it was a great success.
Do we have any rough idea numbers? I know that's always, there's no good way to count them, but it just seems to continue to grow.
Well, we think it was larger than last
Right.
year, so we like to throw out 35, 4,000.
Because when they're like 800 hot dogs and,
Well, we had a bunch, we had 800 hot dogs plus, I know State Farm was doing hot dogs.
Gotcha.
There was a lot more food in the park.
Right.
and I have some pictures and it's just crowds wall to wall all the way down.
Yeah.
So, thank you, we had a great time, and thank you for supporting us.
Thank you. Thank you and your department. Thank you, Commissioner. Okay. All right, then moving on to the consent agenda. Items placed on the consent agenda will be voted on with one motion. If there are any proposed items that do not meet the approval of a commissioner may request that the item be heard under items from the consent agenda.
Madam Mayor,
Yes.
I'd like to pull item B as in boy and G as in George.
Item B and G. Okay, are there any other items? Hearing none, I would entertain a motion for approval.
Madam Mayor.
Yes?
You have Joe Austin.
Madam Mayor, I move to approve the consent agenda with the exception of items B and G.
Okay, is there a second?
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to approve this evening's consent agenda with the exception of items B and G. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed, same sign. Okay, items from consent agenda, item B, which are travel requests. Commissioner McClure.
I have a problem with the Vancouver trip. That would be, I realize it's not till next year. and I don't know how far in advance. I don't think that we've exhausted all our resources for around this area, and at this point, with the financial crunch, not only locally, but statewide, I'd like to pull that or not approve that. That would be, I understand the Tapestry training is for the new system that they're putting in at the MVD, and that Vancouver trip by itself is more than the other 4 that have to do critical training.
Okay.
Also, I'd like, as far as the Vancouver thing, to know, have we talked to any other small towns who have been to this outdoor adventure show? And if so, what kind of result they got from it instead of just like a stab in the dark at this point because of the financial crunch?
All right. So is your preference to table it until we can have answers?
Yes.
Okay.
Can I address this?
Yes, please, Kathy.
The 2 of the entities with Grand Circle Association attended this last year. This is the same group, and I don't know specifically which of those entities went, but they're also going back again this next season for the show, and that's who the cost would be shared with. Unfortunately, we can't table this for future discussion because the booth registrations and everything are due now.
And are they shared then with these other entities?
Right, yeah. And so that was the idea, was that we would go with the group to share those costs to determine what the benefit might be to us locally. But the whole point, the primary presentation booth would be from the Grand Central perspective, or Grand Circle, sorry, the Grand Circle perspective. So it would be promoting the Colorado, Utah, Arizona, New Mexico region. And we would have our promotional material there, but we'd be very limited as to what we could do. It's possible Will could have one-on-one discussions about Aztec, but we're not going to be able to have a booth that says
Right,
just Aztec. So
How long is this? Is it like
it's
a weekend, a week long?
It's just a couple of days. Her request is to depart on March 11th with an estimated return of March 14th.
Okay. Yeah, you figure a day for travel each way and then 2 days at the event.
Right, right. And it's too early for those that did attend with the Grand Circle Association to be able to gauge the benefits. That was one of the big discussions with the Lodgers Tax Board, is how do we measure the
Right.
benefit from attending this? Because it is a very unusual expenditure at a time when we're trying to reduce some of these extraordinary costs.
Well, so who else in the Grand Circle is there from New Mexico?
No way. We would be the only representative
So one
New
from
Mexico.
Colorado, one from Utah?
Do you know?
I think there's 2 from Utah, 1 from Colorado, and 1 from New Mexico. There's 4, I think 4.
And it looks like we're getting assistance from the lodger's tax for the registration and booth space?
Correct. And so it would be general fund that then would pick up the actual lodging and transportation costs.
And that was the number I factored in when I said it was more than our training for our MVD. I took out that 500. I just, I'm,
Do you have more to add to this, having attended the Lodgers
No,
Tax
it
meeting?
was, I mean, like she said, there was some discussion on, like, the main thing, Sam and the other members were concerned with was measuring the benefit of it, because it's a lot of money. Will Ann seemed, she went on and on about it. Like, she really thought it'd be a great thing, but I'm having issues with it too. But I guess my question is this money that's already, it's in their travel budget already for the visitor center, or how?
It
What's
is
this
to
one?
some extent. Willann has looked at her at the FY17 budget, and there are some conferences that she's been attending that she doesn't see the benefit to make it an annual type of conference, and she would then reappropriate
out.
those funds to this, as well as looking at some other items within her budget, because this is, it does
Take up
exceed.
all the travel and stuff within.
It could,
Okay.
yeah, if she doesn't do some other shuffling around, yes.
So it sounds like not something she just like picked out of thin air. It sounds like something that's been discussed and planned,
She-
researched.
She had been researching it, and it actually, she was looking at it more for an FY18, FY19. That's where she had it within her budget, and I think what happened was when this group from Grand Circle had attended and then had made the decision to go back in 2017, that she decided,
The other
or to try to
piece-
accelerate
Right,
it.
the other piece is that I know she's been working with Grand Circle over the past couple of years, and we have actually had some basically familiarization tour buses through the Grand Circle entity connect and come through Aztec. And so we've had 1, 2 this
Yes.
last year that have come through, have come through the Grand Circle, and then have come and stayed in Aztec. I know they've stayed in Microtel, they've
Right.
spent time at the ruins, they've spent time at the museum. And so these are folks who, so the FAM tour is just to get the professionals who coordinate and organize these type, the actual tourist tours to become familiar with us.
And that's what this show is.
Right.
This is for those that are
Kind of
putting
coordinators.
together those tours and such, to familiarize them with our area, to then put us on their itinerary.
Yeah, so this isn't out of the blue.
Right.
That's something she's been working with them and building kind of that recognition about our community and our area with them.
Well, I understand that, but if the Grand Circle is actually representing all 4 states in this area, I'm just wondering what's the benefit, since we can't have a thing that says Aztec, and I don't know how much the promotional materials are that we will pass out, or what the attendance is. You know, could they not include that in there, since they're doing all 4 states anyway?
Sure, I would say anything's possible.
Right.
I
Because
think it's just
one-on-one,
that
I mean, you
personal
might-
touch that
You know, you might hit
potentially-
about 60 people on a one-on-one. Unless it's all given in a whole package. I just wish we had had more time, Mayor, so that we could have maybe discussed this and had questions and stuff, because this is a pretty extraordinary
Right.
expense. You know, and it's kind of a shot in the dark. I know that locally we had the bus go through here, and I think it was mainly the Grand Circle people, right? Not a tour, so to speak. Anyway, that's my thoughts.
Madam Mayor,
Yes.
when I first looked at this too, I had the same thoughts, but then I was kind of going over, if Aztec is, if we're the only city representing New Mexico,
Correct.
I mean, that should help some. And sometimes people, you get people, and if you can get them interested in the area, and then it kind of grows from there. And to me, if Willann's willing to give up some of her other conferences that she doesn't feel like she's getting the value out of, and try this, you know, it doesn't mean we have to do it again, but if we can gain some notoriety.
And, you know, and that's what we don't, not having any experience in this
Right.
type of travel show.
And being able to share the expense, too, I think is a huge benefit. Because
Definitely.
obviously, if our portion of it is $500 for the booth registration, if that's just our portion.
Yeah, this is a $2,500, $3,000.
And if she's already got it
show.
covered in her travel and training budget, she's not going outside that.
Right.
She's adjusting for that.
Well, and the other piece is tourism, not unlike some other things like economic development, it's not just about, can I catch them right now, and all of a sudden they're going to make a decision to come to
Right.
town. It's about building that longer-term relationship, and certainly with these tour folks. And I guess I feel like with every other industry being down, this is one we could actually make an effort at. And in all honesty, those costs to go to these types of shows, that's not exorbitant for those types of events. So anyway, that's a different perspective on it, so. Other
Well, then
questions?
Yeah, I guess my caveat then would be, because we're in a deficit.
Right.
State of New Mexico, 200 million. Santa Fe, 80 million. We're at $500,000.
Right.
Bloomfield's almost to $1 million. You know, and we have to make the cuts somewhere.
True.
My caveat on even, and I agree with the mayor, that it's a good thing to promote tourism. But all the other things, the yearly conferences and stuff, it's not really bringing back enough. Then I would say if that would take care of that $1,400 plus dollars minus the 500, I mean, that is minus the 500, that if she would agree to not go to those so that it wasn't, you know, anymore, or suddenly at the last minute, oh, I've got to go to this conference, and then I would say, okay.
Okay. I don't have her travel budget detail in front of me, but I know that she does attend. There are quarterly meetings with Grand Circle Association. She does some fam tours in the area. Help me, Ed. And so she can't pull back from 100% of those and still remain active and knowing and participating in what is going on with tourism in the region. There were a governor's conference on tourism that she didn't see a lot of benefit this past year, doesn't see a need to attend that again, but it's not that she's, at this point, isn't talking about completely removing all of her travel in lieu of this.
But
Just-
but for the fiscal input part, she's got sufficient funds within her budget currently.
Correct. Yes.
And
So
what
she would-
Ann has done is, she's taken a look at our statistics in terms of visitors and quantifying where people are coming from, what are the highest out-of-state visitors and out-of-country visitors. And Canada was top number one, Canada and Germany being the two most common visitors from other countries coming here.
We've run into some at the bistro.
And I would support that. In the marketing for the Highland Games, we focus heavily in Canadian, because there's that strong Scottish-Celtic connection in a lot of the communities.
And I understand where you're coming from, Commissioner McClure, in terms of the cost of this. I was sort of talking to Luann and concerned about the cost, but I think this is an opportunity to at least do it one time to get our foot in the door and maybe establish some contacts and establish some networking, maybe well enough so that it wouldn't require us to go back there again, but we could have contacts we need to get a traveling company interested in creating tours down here in the Four Corners area. For that price, and I think it's worth the effort and trying to establish some sort of network.
Thank you.
Any other questions? No. Comments? No? Okay. Then I would entertain a motion.
Madam Mayor,
Yes.
I move to approve the employee public official travel requests.
Okay, and is there a second?
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign.
Nay.
Okay. Okay, then next item under items from consent is item G, Northwest New Mexico Council of Governments Membership Agreement and Board of Directors Appointment. Commissioner McClure.
I just had a question, because we brought this up in commission before. What good does this do us, this Council of Governments? And I remember City Manager Ray saying that basically they met 4 times a year and had lunch. But in speaking with you, Mayor, a few days ago, you said if we're not part of it, there are some grant things that aren't available. I guess my question is, have we gotten grants by being members of Council of Governments?
We have not directly. I don't know that we've ever worked with COG to apply for grants. And the grants that I'm referring to are federal level grants, grants that would come through Department of Labor, directly through the Economic Development Administration, and Josh and I have been working on one recently. Are you up to speed on that one, Kathy? No. Okay. So we are working on one that we're hoping to submit within the next few weeks. It requires the COG sign off on it, or at least their approval.
And what's that grant for?
It's for our waste to energy project.
So another question I had then would be, are they, since they've jacked it up $2,000, because I guess the lunches got expensive, are they going to accept us taking it back down to the $3,000 a year that has been
Don't
there?
really have a choice.
Because there's a strike out here.
And we've done that for the last couple of years.
Have we?
Agreements have come
Yes.
through at 5 and we keep
Right.
striking it out.
And putting 3. It's been at 3 for quite a few years now.
It has.
And they keep requesting 5, but
Right.
we keep,
Yeah, every time I see Jeff, he's hoping that not just us, but all of San Juan County will increase our contributions. With the
Again,
carry-
we pay, and even our city manager just said, why are we paying? We're not getting anything out of it. And that was only a couple months ago.
No, It was.
As far as the grant portion, I don't know the specifics of the grant that you and Josh are working on. We have had other federal grants that the city has applied for that has required COG sign off,
Right.
but that isn't something, it's just because of their designation. It isn't, I don't think they can withhold it from us if
I
we're
don't
not a
think so.
member.
Yeah, I don't think so, but probably it'd get tricky.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just their designation as to how the districts are for the federal funding.
Yeah, they are basically the state economic development entities that a lot of that funding flows through.
Okay. I don't think anybody's going to be getting funding this year for anything. All right. Just needed clarification on that. I don't know. I think we ought to try it one more year, and if, I don't know. What if we applied for a grant and we weren't a member and we still got the grant?
that'd be great. That'd be awesome.
It's almost, it almost seems to me like they're getting this yearly amount from all the cities and stuff to keep their offices going. Sorry, that's the way I see it. All right. That's all, Mayor.
Other questions?
I don't have any.
Okay. I would entertain a motion.
Madam Mayor,
Yes.
move to approve the agreement with Northwest New Mexico Council of Governments with the changes made.
Okay. And is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed, same sign. Okay. Okay, so then that brings us to citizens' input. If there is anyone here this evening at the meeting who would like to address the commission on any item not otherwise listed on the agenda, you may sign up to do so at the clerk's table to your right. You will have up to 3 minutes to do so to address the commission. No? No takers? Okay. Okay, then we will move into business items. Business item A, Resolution 2016-1009, fiscal year year-end budget adjustments.
Hi again.
I'll just stay up here for a while. Do you want me to go through and read the staff summary? You want to ask questions?
Are there questions?
How do you want
for
me
Patty?
to approach this?
I'm,
for
my
the
screen
audience,
is stuck. Hold on a
maybe,
minute.
This is for budget adjustments for year-end FY16 is what this item is.
Right. This is the paperwork piece, just to make it reflect on paper.
Correct.
Right.
Sure.
I have no questions.
You have questions?
Oh, I have no
Oh,
questions.
okay.
Just the first one.
This was A. The year-end adjustments. Which is always adjustments every year, right at the end of every year.
No, we don't
Not always.
necessarily. We try very hard not to do budget adjustments. We try to get it right the first time around. One of the things that is new that we haven't done before is the requirement to make an adjustment for our investments.
Right.
DFA wants, I guess, a formal acknowledgement, even though we bring signature cards, and I hope everybody understands what we're doing with investments throughout the year. DFA wants a formal resolution
Knowing,
acknowledging what happened to those investments during the course of the year. I haven't been able to get a response from them, or clarification, I don't want to say response, in that some of the investments we have now are accruing interest on a monthly basis. And I'm hoping that we only have to bring the adjustment to commission once a year rather than every quarter. But we're waiting for clarification on that. So that was one of the adjustments, and that is new. Commission, we haven't ever done that before, so it is new for commission. Then, of course, we've got two funds that we're needing to transfer funds into, one being the airport fund. That was, when we awarded the fuel tank, we were over budget because it did come in, even with the low bid, we came in over funding. We had thought that the apron project would be a little bit further along and we could just do the budget adjustments all at once. That didn't materialize, so this is taking care of the fuel tank, what we were over back in October. The golf course, then we are needing to provide additional funding over what was budgeted in the FY16 budget to support the golf course fund.
Okay.
questions?
Yeah, the golf course fund. Is this the point to bring it up? You want to move money from the roads,
No.
general to the roads?
No. There is a transfer that was there's a budgeted transfer that's included within general fund to the road fund. We didn't make that transfer this year, so to keep the impact, budgetary impact, to the general fund at zero, it's reducing then the amount of transfer that was budgeted from the road fund transfer and splitting it between the golf course and the airport. So budgetary to net to the general fund, it appears to be a zero impact. We are moving cash though, so there is an impact to general fund.
All right, so, and I understand the airport fuel, and I know that will be made up because it was in a lag.
Right.
I understand the Guzman thing of adding the extra money because it made some interest. I don't understand the golf course needing another $65,000. And I think what stuck out on me on this, and I know Mr. Ray isn't here, and he is the one who sent us the email 2 weeks ago that said it was doing fantastic, and we were 2,000 ahead. And then, and these were his numbers where we were fantastic. Positive trend over the last 6 months. This is a quote. The numbers can be attributed to the increase in daily play, increase in snack bar purchases, tournament play, and corporate memberships. Well, that all looks good till you look at the numbers. That was 2 weeks ago, Commission. This was dated July 7th. And now we need 65,000. So when I looked at these numbers, because I went back and looked at these, and I'm not sure if you prepared them with the city man. Okay. So it's not just the fiscal year, but from this year. And what I did notice, he did two. One from calendar year through June 30th, and one from fiscal year. I started asking for in the monthly reports, not just the revenues, but the expenditures, so that we would not have the sticker shock that we had in December. And December was an 11th hour thing, too. And I remember all of Commission saying we did not want to do that again.
Right.
So 2 weeks ago, we get it. That's fantastic, and we're actually 2,000 ahead. And then I looked at our monthly reports. The May one, expenses and revenues, a little different than what he tallied up from our monthly reports. The June one, vastly underestimated. So what we have here on June 2016 as the revenues were $22,599 and expenses were $22,501. When in actuality, the expenses were $44,644. So that's a difference of $22,000 that It could be a typo. I don't think so. What happened was, the only expense put in that one was the service expense, not the personnel or supply, which was also provided in the other months.
Correct.
So to me, it's doing great. We only have a couple of more months of good golfing before it starts going bad weather. To hear today, after 2 weeks ago, that we're great, that we need to move 65,000 so the state won't get mad, I'm not inclined to do that at all. And putting it all together, like I said, the gasoline, I mean, the airport fuel, I can understand. That's a huge tank. We had to fill it up.
Right.
And it will be put back.
Correct.
The 65,000 will not.
Correct. The report that I provide in my monthly report for commission has been showing a deficit. I don't know for certain what happened with the report that the city manager was providing. I didn't see it until, I didn't know that there was an additional report being provided. I found out about that when we were talking about the year-end adjustments. And of course, Mr. Ray had numbers that he thought were reflecting one thing. My numbers were reflecting something different.
And then we get the numbers monthly now, starting in May, from Steve's department.
And what did happen was that when the monthly report was reviewed, the financial report, you're correct. The personnel and the supplies items were not, and the capital items were not included in that total.
See, I'm sorry the city manager isn't here, but that's unacceptable. Because in order for us to even make decisions, we have to be given the right numbers. Not, yes, we're in the flush 2,000, and no, we're not. By many thousands. You know, it's just difficult for us to sit up here and go, yeah, that would be great because the numbers reflect blah, 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 when it's so vastly different. Because in the long run, commissioners, we're the ones that people come to and ask why. And I can't say, well, I got this from Josh and I like that, so I'm going for this. But I got this from Kathy and that one sucks, so I'm not going to tell you about that one. You know, it's got to be consistent.
But that's not the report I provided to Josh. That's in my monthly report, in the departmental reports, is where my information is at.
However, for the purposes of this business item before us, this is to get all of last year's budget closed out.
Correct. There's a couple of things. Because the golf course is set up as an enterprise fund, it reports separately on the year-end report to the state. They will not approve the quarterly report with a negative cash balance. We can't start the new year with a negative cash balance, which will then result in the state they won't just not only not approve a budget for the golf course, they won't approve a budget for the entire city.
And then what happens if they don't
We
approve it?
operate without an approved budget.
And what are the consequences of that? Because I seem to remember the same thing came up at the end of December.
No, that was just on quarterly reports. This is a different type of situation now because they will withhold budget approval. And then it becomes an audit comment. It just becomes
Any
a
funding,
bigger
capital
issue.
outlay, or other state
Correct.
funding or loans, then start having issues.
Right.
I don't like this position that we've been put into at all. And the fact that it has to be done by the end of this month. You know, it's well, we have to, or else, you know, we're going to be strangleholded by the state. And at this point, I'm almost saying, let them come in and audit. You know, does it stop any of the funds coming to the city?
Yes, potentially.
So, this position that we're in, even as commissioners, to me is just insane. Where we have to scurry around and change everything to make it look good, when in fact it's not. You know, to zero it out,
and I
Kathy, I
do-
understand, but again, I feel this is an 11th hour thing. And I realize that a lot of the cities across New Mexico had to change stuff when the gross receipts came in for July, and I realize that. But, I mean, honestly, if we had to do this in our own bank account, we get smacked big time by, I'm sorry, you don't have it by that time, so we're going to charge you $30 or whatever. And this difference in numbers, this trying to make, I can take it if someone tells me it's not cherry. Whether it's this or any other thing that the city is doing, at least then we can make informed, intelligent decisions. But right now, I just feel like we're being told one thing and a completely opposite thing. I know it's not you.
And I apologize for that because I don't know, I guess I should have been
Well, and I would
bringing more
recommend
attention.
at this point that when Mr. Ray is back in town, that perhaps we schedule some time with him to sit down and discuss this.
And aside from the topic of the golf course specifically, it's not unique for government agencies to
No.
make last-minute budget transfers and amounts
Right.
to make, because they spend more out of one line item than another,
And I think
and they have to
Commissioner
adjust that
McClure
to.
I
understands
understand that.
and is okay with that.
Right.
But we're still
Right.
being given,
Right.
I'm sorry, bogus information. Not from you, Kathy, believe me.
And it wasn't intentional. There was an error in the numbers that were provided to Mr. Ray. And those went out to commission without him realizing that there was an error until, like I said, when we were discussing the year-end adjustments. And he was surprised because, I guess he wasn't reading my monthly report either, but he had understood that the numbers were different as well. And it was because the numbers that he was provided were not inclusive of all the expenditures of the golf course.
Okay. All right. Are there any further questions or discussion on this topic? No? Okay.
I agree, we should, the workshop thing, or?
I'm open to that, but I do feel like, yeah, we need to schedule some
I
type
agree.
of session with Mr. Ray so that we can get to the bottom of that. For the purposes of moving this forward in this evening's meeting, again, I don't want to be in the situation where we present an out-of-balance budget to the state because of the issues that could create for us down the line. So,
And yet we have an out-of-balance budget. Which, there's just that, we represent every single citizen in Aztec. And when they have an out-of-balance budget, they've got to take the knocks for it. And I understand what you're all saying.
but the
But it's-
budget isn't, for the golf course specific, yes, but the budget as a whole is not out of balance, and I think that needs to be made clear.
Except for we're moving $85,000.
Right, which we have elsewhere. It's not, yes, there is an issue there, but the budget itself is not out of balance and in the hole. And I think that's an important piece to get out there.
All right.
So, if there are no further discussion or questions, then I would entertain a motion.
Madam Mayor,
Yes.
move to approve Resolution 2016-1009, year-end budget adjustments.
Okay, and is there a second?
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All of those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed, same sign.
Nay.
Okay. All right, business item B, Resolution 2016-1010, approval of fiscal year 16 fourth quarter financial report. Kathy,
This,
you get the fun meeting tonight, don't you?
yeah, I'm really glad about this.
Yeah, uh-huh.
This is just the formal process that DFA instituted about 3 or 4 years ago, whereas the commission needs to, by resolution, approve the fourth quarter report.
Okay.
That's
Are there
this.
questions for Kathy on this item?
No, ma'am.
Okay, then I would entertain a motion for approval, or a motion.
Madam Mayor,
Yes.
I move to approve Resolution 2016-1010, approval of the fiscal year 16 fourth quarter financial report.
Is there, okay, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 All those opposed, same sign. Okay, business item C, Resolution 2016-1011, fiscal year 17 annual budget resolution. Kathy?
This is the action that's required. DFA requires by formal resolution that the governing body accept the annual budget. After this, once the resolution is approved, we submit it to DFA by the 31st, and they have until the 1st of September to provide approval for the annual budget. There are some very significant adjustments to this budget from the preliminary budget that was presented. Most significantly, of course, is the reduction of the gross receipts in multiple funds. The July distribution was...
Terrifying?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so we felt it was necessary to go back and be more conservative in those gross receipts projections for the year. That's the most significant. There are adjustments, as we always have, between what we estimated was going to, back in May, what we estimated was going to happen by the time we got to the end of June, and either it didn't happen, we didn't get as far along in projects as we thought we were going to be, or we had some unanticipated expenditures come up. So there have been some adjustments that I've outlined within the staff summary between what was presented to you in the preliminary budget and what is being presented for the final.
Okay.
But again, the most significant, of course, is the gross receipts drop, and you can see that reflected then in the projected cash balances going across.
Other questions?
No.
No, I don't know.
Okay. Hearing none, I would entertain a motion.
Madam Mayor,
Yes.
I'd like to move and second approval. I don't know, that doesn't make sense. Move to approve Resolution 2016-1011 FY17 annual budget adoption.
Second.
Okay. We have a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed, same sign. Okay. Item D, Resolution 2016-1012, Sunday sales of alcoholic beverages at public celebrations. Kathy's not presenting this one too? She lied.
Gladly turn it over.
Delaine's going to let her off the hook.
Yeah. Yeah. So, Madam Mayor, Commissioners, this is Sunday sales of alcohol beverages at public celebrations. This is for wine growers and brewers only at public celebrations, and on Sunday. We've had some special events that require or ask if they could sell on Sunday, and right now we can't until we do a resolution. By state statute, it defines that they expressly have to have a permitted beer and wine sales on Sunday by resolution from the governing body, and that would be you. And that's what's presented before you. And if you have any questions, I do need to make one clarification before we go forward with the resolution. I have a typo in there in this third whereas. It should be in this municipal code section 4-13-3 and 8. I missed the 13 in there.
Delane, you
that's-
make sure that Carla gets that changed.
Yeah, and I have a new one if anybody would
All right.
like to
An
read that
amended
too.
one.
You were going to call me on that
That's
one.
the only
weren't you?
change?
I knew I was going to get called on that one. So, yeah, but I wanted to clarify that.
Okay.
Because if you looked it up, you wouldn't find it. But now you can find it, and I have a new copy if you'd like to have that.
Okay.
So, if you have any other questions, I'd be glad to.
Oh,
So these are just specific to the ones you've listed on this, and then when, let's say, another group comes in, we just go through the same process? Not really a big deal,
just
is
approve a
it?
new resolution.
Correct. I'll just have to bring a new resolution
Okay,
to you.
all right.
And we discussed to add some events on here just for the next year. So every August, my plan is to bring a resolution to you, redoing this year every year.
Gotcha.
Madam Mayor, these are events, obviously, that are annual events that we know about. If somebody comes in for the XYZ celebration, then we'll have to have a specific
Sounds like a Hobbit
resolution
event, yes.
for that.
A Hobbit
As
event?
opposed to the ABC.
Oh, Hobbit. I thought you said Hobbit, like, wow.
Who knows?
A new Hobbit
Be our
story.
new big thing.
All right.
Yeah.
Question?
Yeah, Delane, so
Yes.
each event would pay the $25
For the public
for the
celebration,
public
correct. To
celebration?
the city.
They would pay
yes.
it to the city?
To the city, yes.
Okay.
So we would have that specific to them for the alcohol sales.
Okay.
In addition to the security and all the special agreements that we have, they would pay for an additional public celebration permit.
For those two. And this is just for wine growers and
Brewers only.
Only.
That are in the
What
state of
about
New Mexico.
That are in the
distillers?
state of New Mexico. Distillers, no, that's a whole different option. If you're a distiller and you're a special dispenser, you have to be in Aztec to dispense in Aztec. You can't bring your license from Farmington to dispense in Aztec. It has to stay within your local option district.
So it would have to be Safeway or Western
Refinery.
But they're not distillers.
They're dispensers.
Dispensers.
They have a
I'm talking about
dispenser's license.
distillers. Who
Craft
make
distillers
whiskey.
can also do it too.
So craft distillers,
Right.
brewers, and wine brewers.
Right.
Okay,
For New
wineries.
Mexico wide.
Okay,
Yeah.
Okay.
Sorry, I misunderstood. I thought you said dispensers.
okay, just want to make sure that's clear.
Yeah.
All right. Okay, are there any further questions?
No, ma'am.
Okay, then I would entertain a motion.
Madam Mayor,
Yes.
I move to approve Resolution 2016-1012, allowing recognized public celebrations to sell beer and wine on Sundays during this specific event, which is kind of
One
weird.
point. So since it only says beer and wine, would that exclude then distilleries?
Is a distillery like someone who
Well,
makes tequila, which is like the
Yes.
best thing in the world?
Yeah, this current resolution does not have distillers on it. We only talked about wine growers and brewers.
Okay.
So if we have an event that does want to bring
Yes.
craft distillers, then we would have to bring a resolution to you specifically for
resolution.
that
Okay,
event,
then
for
we
craft
need to
distillers.
bring one forward,
Okay.
because we have a distillery that's already signed up for the Highland Games this year.
Okay, then I guess I would
Yeah,
need to know
this is just beer and
specifics.
wine.
This is beer and wine, okay.
This is
Yeah.
wine growers and
I'm glad
brewers.
I need
asked, so
to,
we
yeah,
can-
I haven't heard from the Celtic Festival at all,
Gotcha.
so I need specifics
Okay,
on that event and those, who the distiller is.
okay.
Yeah.
So we
And
could
then we'll
have,
bring that forward.
still have tequila flavored beer, but, okay.
And-
So do you want me to say this again?
Sorry. Apologies.
Well, can we
Carla?
add distillers at
Do
this
you have-
point, Mr.
I
Ford?
don't think we can.
I think we need to bring
I
it a
think- yeah,
separate
no,
resolution.
I would agree. I think it needs to be a
Okay.
separate resolution.
I'd make sure with the, I talked to alcohol and gaming at least 8 times.
Oh,
Yes.
And always a different answer, so I'd make sure about that distillery.
It's written in there.
Is it?
Craft distillers. It is in that
Okay.
resolution. It's in there.
So do you guys want to wait on this until we add the wording, or do you want to do a second one?
I'll just bring another resolution if that's
Yeah,
okay
I
with you
think,
guys.
I think we should go ahead and consider this one this evening for
Right.
wine, because what we have
For beer and
primarily
wine.
for these events is
Right,
Beer
the
and
wine growers and the brewers.
right.
Right.
Then we can look at the distilling issue separately and bring a separate resolution.
Okay.
For that specific event. For that specific event.
Right.
yeah.
Should I restate, Carla? Okay.
Well, before you do that, does she need to include the change to the resolution also in the motion?
No, because we're not changing this resolution.
But
We're-
I'm just talking about.
Adding the one
Just the
for.
whereas.
The 13.
You already got that? Adding the
amendment?
13 on the whereas?
Yeah,
thing?
that's already
Okay.
been completed
All right.
and changed.
She's got a corrected resolution with the correct
So you
statutory
might
site.
make your motion as stated and say as amended.
All righty. Here we go
Do
again.
we not need to do that, Cindy?
We're not amending anything.
I'm sorry,
Oh.
so is this going to come,
I'm sorry, Cindy, go ahead.
this is going to come before the commission, you said in August?
No,
again?
we're doing it now.
Next one? Okay, so if specifically if Steamers and Dreamers wanted to be 2 days, can I add my name to that? I'm sorry.
Okay, so this, sorry, Cindy, to answer your question, we will have to bring Steamers and Dreamers to the commission in a separate resolution, if you're going to sell on Sunday. That's what this is for, Sunday sales only.
That was my question. just
Okay.
in case we decided to
And,
Yeah.
and
Because
then
you're
if
not
Steamers and
currently
Dreamers
on
is
the
going to be, pardon me for interrupting, if Steamers and Dreamers is going to be an annual event, then when we bring the next annual resolution, we can add it.
But she
Her-
could
her
still bring
event
it before.
Oh,
annual.
yeah, she can bring it as a separate resolution now.
Okay.
Just saying if it's going to be annual, we'll add it to the list for the next annual resolution.
Right, and what I kind of did was took events that currently sell alcohol or have potential of security and that type of thing, and that's why those events are on here now. I wasn't sure that other events that sold alcohol
Gotcha.
that don't currently.
As they pop up, we'll address them at that
Right,
time.
we'll bring a resolution each time, and then that year they'll get added if they're a recurring event.
Got it.
Okay. So do we need to say as amended or no? Because she has the corrected, right? You
I
have
would
the
say as
corrected?
corrected, Madam Mayor, pardon.
Okay, as corrected.
As corrected, because it's just a typo.
Okay,
All right.
you got that?
Got it. All right. Madam Mayor,
Yes.
I move to approve resolution, or my speech better. I move to approve resolution 2016-1012 as corrected for allowing recognized public celebrations to sell beer and wine on Sundays during the specific event.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Okay, thank you, Billy. All right, city manager, commissioner, and attorney reports. So I did attend municipal league meetings Friday and Saturday of last week. We had a tax committee meeting, which was a very interesting discussion that I'll just share some of the highlights. We actually had Representative Harper, who's the chairman of the, I'll never remember the name of it, but they're the ones who look at the tax changes and adjustments. And we have, for those who have heard his pitch or heard about it, so Senator Scherer here from San Juan County has been pushing a flat 2% tax. So changing our entire gross receipt structure to a flat 2% tax. And he's still advocating on that. I know he's pitched it to Four Corners Economic Development, and he's also been working to that end with some of the legislative committees that have already begun meeting this summer. Visiting with Representative Harper, he was able to get some raw data. Apparently, if you're a representative or senator, you can maybe do that. But from Tax and Rev, which I thought was interesting, that no one else has access to. And he had his staff start crunching the numbers, and his concern is, under Senator Scherer's plan, the only way the 2% works is if you eliminate all deductions, exemptions, and credits. And so right now, there are currently over 300 deductions, exemptions, and credits to the gross receipts tax. And no one has a good handle on exactly what all of those are. Okay? So, yeah, intentionally, I'm sure. So Senator Harper, when he had his staff start crunching or Representative Harper, start crunching the numbers, what they come up with is the 2% doesn't cut it. That it's more like 3.5%, and that's just the state's share. So that doesn't count the city and the counties and their increments. The other thing that the flat 2% does is it causes some really funky things to start happening. It puts pyramiding back in. So the pyramiding, if you're a business and say you're a construction company and you have subcontractors, and so they tax you on their services, and then the main contractor then taxes the final customer. You have these taxes that are adding on to each other. The other thing that happens is when you take away all exemptions, deductions, and credits, it also eliminates, in Senator Scherer's plan, the personal income tax. So that you wouldn't be paying personal income tax. Well, then what happens is you're paying gross receipts tax on wages, which becomes a very interesting, yeah, which again adds to the whole pyramiding piece as a business.
Did they do that in Texas and Florida and stuff where they don't have personal income?
You know, I don't know. I've not looked. So there are some issues. I know Senator Scherer is putting on a big push, and he wants entities in San Juan County to advocate for it. I know from what I heard Friday, I have some reservations. I'm going to talk with him specifically about some of these differences. The hard part is getting numbers, and so from Tax and Rev, because there's nowhere else to get them. Do you know what I mean? That's the only place, and so.
And yet, that's the only way you can really make a decision.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah, exactly.
There we go then.
So that's, however, I feel like with the issues that we have right now with GRT, the hold harmless issues, the state talking about going back into a special session here soon to look at where we find the money. I mean, this is going to be coming up every single year. We're going to have to face this. And at some point, the system's just going to be so broke that we have to do something else. And so, you know, listening to these talks and having an idea of what's being proposed and what the options are, I think is pretty important. Because when it does happen, it will mean some major shifts. Right now, under all of the plans that are proposed, there are major shifts in who, there are winners and losers. There are some entities on a municipal level that have extra revenue, and there are those that have less revenue. And so it becomes a pretty sticky situation. And what works at the state level doesn't, once you get down to your community level, doesn't work, because no one knows how many non-taxable transaction certificates, how many entities who hold those are in each community, and so how it functions and plays out is different in each community. So, isn't that a cheery?
It's so true.
Yeah.
And the fact that Tax and
Kathy,
Rev
is it
won't
legal
won't
for-
divulge any information.
Is it legal for the city of Aztec to buy a lottery ticket every week for the city of Aztec? I propose $4 a month.
I'll answer for her, no.
No, it's not illegal, or no?
No, it's not legal.
It's not legal, okay. So anyway, so as that continues to evolve, the municipal league is going to take a stance, not on a specific plan, but we are going to draft a special resolution that we'll share with our legislators, talking about specific things. Like I said, we're not going to try to draft the plan, the tax plan, but we're going to say, okay, don't mess with this type of stuff, things that are specifically in the interests of cities. So we're going to put that together. Hopefully we'll have that for approval at our annual meeting end of August. So, anyway. Okay. Mayor Pro Tem.
Good news, huh?
Yeah, on that cheery note.
I just wanted to add to what Commissioner Rogers had said earlier. I was out of town and did not get to attend the National Night Out, but my daughter and my two youngest grandsons got to go for the first time ever, and they were very impressed and had a good time. And I've heard from other people what a great success it was, and we really appreciate all that you do and Sherry does, and to get that together, and the officers and everything. And on that note, I just want to say how much I appreciate our police department and our officers and the whole department and the job that you guys do, and I just want you to know that it's appreciated.
Thank you very much.
I will be we'll have a Northwest Mexico Seniors meeting coming up here in the next 2 weeks. I did not get to attend the EDAB meeting this month. I was out of town, so and the mayor was
Maybe
out of
John can
town,
give us
so
an
John
update
can maybe
then.
give us an update on that.
Well, it was reflective of a new position with Ed in the interim, so we brought everybody up to speed on that. And then we also, in your consent agenda, you got the replacement for our financial representative. Then I briefed everybody what transpired on the previous meeting with the potential for some grant funding for the Red Lake program, as I remember what that situation is, of which we still feel very strongly that it's a good potential to look into. So I think that when Ed gets caught up on some of his end of the month programs he'd taken care of, he thought that he might try to get a hold of Everett and find out what we need to get started to be prepared for that.
Good.
So other than that, I don't think anything of significant transpired.
Did we have quorum?
We did have quorum. We got our minutes caught up, and Ed brought us up to date on some of the projects going on.
Thanks, John. The only other thing I have, Mayor, is just we have the Connie Mack World Series getting ready to start, and also the County Fair is coming up in the next, Connie Mack will start Friday.
The 8th.
Yeah.
Oh, that's right. No, County Fair's the 8th.
Yeah, County Fair
Connie Mack
starts
starts
the 8th.
Friday.
Connie Mack starts Friday, so two big things, and so maybe we can get some people over here, maybe?
And then on the tail end of the fair is the Mac and Cheese Fest here in town.
Right, so
on the
a lot of
13th.
things happening. Anyway, that's all I have, Mayor. Thank you.
Commissioner Rogers?
Just to echo my appreciation and apologize for my lack of participation this year. I got stuck on customer support phone call for an hour, but maybe that's why it turned out so much better.
Did you get back your T-shirt?
No, because I did show up and wear it for a little while.
Okay. Is that it?
Yes.
As same thing, like on the consent agenda, you guys saw where we did have 2 new members on lodger's tax. So that was good. That was actually a full table. It was really awesome. I mean, I haven't been to many, but it was fuller than the last one where there was only 2 of us. And I will attend one of the $3,000 lunches next Wednesday with COG, because it's actually up here at the School of Energy, so I'll let you know how that tastes or how that goes.
Dang, you don't have to travel to.
No, it's actually here, and
Yeah.
Josh won't be there, but I'll be
They're
here, so.
actually bringing in, sorry.
No, that's fine, yeah.
Rick Sebenoler, who is the Regional Economic Development Administration rep for our region out of Austin,
Oh, wow.
and he's going to be the speaker at the luncheon.
Okay, I saw there was some special speaker. but I
So,
didn't know.
yeah, so, and the reason that's important, so the college right now has what's called a power grant, and so it's specifically, they've used it so far to hire and train folks for IBM. And so they have a small IBM office at the incubator right now, where they've got folks in that program. And so the power grant, and there's more to roll out, because the COG has a piece of this also for our region. The forgive me, anyway. So the power grant is specifically for communities that are affected by the downturn and the additional regulations in coal and for us in natural gas. So it's natural resource. It's for communities that are struggling economically based on this industry. Yes, it definitely applies to us. They are, several years ago, we'd have the group E is greater than P, who kind of, business folks who put in their own money, who did a study about how bad it had gotten after the 08-09 kind of first dip in the recession, how bad it had gotten, how many jobs we'd lost, and then what were our targets that we had the best bet in San Juan County to pursue for economic development purposes, trying to grow businesses, bring businesses, and all of that. So that's now 5 to 6 years old. The Power Grant is actually looking at doing an update for us, and for a couple of those sectors, doing a deeper dive with some details and things that we can work on. So all of that, so Rick Sebenoler, the speaker who's coming in, is the guy who actually signed off on that grant for us regionally, and he's the guy who I need to talk to about trash trucks. So, trash trucks, isn't that exciting? Anyway.
So you're saying, I can't just eat and leave, I need to stay and listen to the speaker.
Yes, you really
Okay, is
do.
what you're saying,
You really
okay. I'll make sure.
Yeah, the short version of that story. Yes, you should listen to the speaker.
Get your $1,000 worth.
That's right.
I will.
You better eat up.
Oh, I will. Trust
I'll be
me.
back.
I don't have a problem eating.
Okay, sorry.
Man, so, National Night Out was awesome. Speaking of eating, awesome hot dogs, you guys. Steve, that was great. I went back and ate several, so, you know.
So we had 800, but you ate 100?
I ate at least 5 of 4.
Oh,
No,
okay.
no, it was like 3. It was like 3, 4, or 5, maybe, I don't know. If your wife takes it and then you eat it, does that still count? She knows. I really liked them. So, Weston liked them too. Yeah, no, it was a great night, great turnout. Chief, very good job. So, man, there was something else.
I'm sorry.
I forgot. That's okay.
Okay,
Everyone have a great week.
all right, thank you. Commissioner McClure.
Again, well, I did sling donuts again at National Night Out. And, you know, it always starts out great, and then it turns into a madhouse. You don't want to put the donuts out early because there'd be fly poo on it, you know, so, you know. Anyway, kudos to your officers who kept going, more, work faster, Commissioner. No, it was great, Chief. And again, Sherry, I wish she were here. We should have a National Sherry Day, is what we should have for her putting that together. It's absolutely astounding that she does like 95% of it, I'm assuming. She gives you 5%, you know, but, I mean, just unbelievable, because we all know what it takes to pull an event together, so, again, kudos, because I do remember when there was only about 20 people there the first year, so that's just great. I did go to Fourth Friday here again in Aztec. It's something that the Aztec Merchants United had put on, and they stay open late on the fourth Friday of every month. They had a sidewalk art contest again with chalk, and again, a lot of the young or teenagers came out for that, and it's so cool. And the art that they did on the sidewalks is just, I didn't see any of you there, but take my word for it. It was really great. Publicly, I would like to thank, after the Blues Fest, especially in the Parks Department, Mr. Matt Graves and Jeff Blackburn. Again, working with them every year, it's just seamless, Steve. And they're just so wonderful. And the park looked great this year. Looked really good. And also the electric department, I didn't know all the guys' names, but they came in like a little band of locusts and just set up all of their things, and everything was perfect and smooth. So we had another good event. This was our 11th year. It better be smooth by now. And that's about it. I will have an ECHO, Economic Council Helping Others, because you know how I am about acronyms, will be coming up, and I think that they do have a new director in mind, which would be great. Sarah would be leaving after 27 years. And that's really all I have, except for I would invite everyone to go out onto Main Street on the last Friday in August, where they're going to continue doing it. I'm not sure that they'll do it in January. I'm not sure. But it's just so great to see all those red balloons out there, street musicians all up and down the street, hot dog carts. It's just really, it's like Main Street is alive after 5, which is just so nice to see. And a lot of people just came out later because it became cooler. And there was just tons of people walking up and down, and over in the hub. So the 550 was open that night, and I guess Cynthia had just set up, tables, and it was packed in there. It was packed. So that's always great to see. And that's all I have, Mayor.
Mr. Thrall?
I have nothing.
Okay.
Says who?
There's more.
Okay, department reports?
Just to go along with the National Light Out, I want to thank the commission for your support and allowing us to do this and the money to do it. It's wonderful. And we couldn't do it without all of the departments that helped out. Steve and his guys were there and cooking hot dogs, and Ken's guys came out and they were setting up, doing the meters for us, and then we needed a tarp put up, and so they used their bucket truck while they were there to help us. We just get support from everybody. Cindy's there doing hers, and animal control and MVD. We just have support from the whole city, and we can't do it without that. So I just wanted to make sure y'all knew how much we appreciate that, and that, yes, Sherry is the driving force, and how much she does to make that event happen. But it also includes a bunch of other people, and I just want to say thank you to all of them that helps us make this event go forward.
Thank you. Anyone else? Okay. All right, then at this time, we will move into closed session. Closed session pursuant to state law, section 10-15-1, H-2, limited personnel matters, city manager evaluation. Mrs. Sally Burbridge voting aye.
Sherry Sight voting aye.
Sherry Rogers voting aye.
Austin Randall voting aye.
Katie McClure voting aye.